he would have to uncomfortably suggest a hotel or a bed and breakfast when then he wanted to get all down and dirty with me, at which point, of course, I would have asked him, why not just go hang out at your apartment? And then and because I was smart and he could tell, he knew that I was gonna figure out ukuthi lenja lena meifuna ugenza ama stunts, lenja le meifuna ukupula ama hectic stunts all up in my grill and make out of me a very dishonest woman. So ultimately, after that day of seeing him go spa acting all shoddy and shrouded, Azang again astopa to give me a ride, and he never again called me, and that's how that whole thing ended. So listen, I don't know when they get married. That dude, what he dreads that I initially avoided because of the dress thing, but ultimately I got in his little Mini Cooper, in his little Skodwenki of a car. Yeah, I can. And that's how these men are. La matodalawa we 2025 la chatilwe. Noma bayang 26, noma bayang 27, noma bayang 30. Insofar as bayachata abafazi, bangena virtue, bangena righteousness, and if it all bangela clout, o kitlo o tong tshwanelang. You will remember how Ntutugo Shoba murdered Tsehofazo Pule because she was inconvenient for some other chick that he imagined was more clout worthy to be his wife, and being scared of losing her, he killed his heavily pregnant side piece. They're willing to make women that are apparently not of their league side pieces, and they're willing to also swat them out the way when the wife is out walking around with them. Angazi ukuthi zikiphani ngamadoda in 2025 in the black community, mara akhusana any such thing as a chick that's struggling is going to get loved by a dude that's doing well. It doesn't happen anymore. It happened with my mom and dad, but you see, there was no righteousness there. And so because there was no righteousness, my dad was just a fool, and he lost her. And that day, that fateful day after Miss Winchester Ridge Primary School, he drank ujwala, all of it. He drank almost all that brandy, almost all that whiskey that was inside by ebulecha yalefasi that could be spun. Even my mom's boyfriend Hanatla that she was dating, una every so often I like a small little sip of whiskey. I know my dad wakata all the alcohol, dog. Ujwala wonke. Like everything. Herein lies the love of a man's life. He is now at this particular juncture divorced from a second wife. My mother is willing to get back together with him. They evidence getting along together in camaraderie that particular day. And then and then showed my mother for the first time ever that, listen, I'm an alcoholic now. When we divorced, I was just a casual drinker. My second wife divorced me because I became an alcoholic. You don't know that though. But today, I'm coming out of the closet. I'm gonna show you. Today, I am going to display to you with all the colors of the rainbow that I'm a drunk officially, because I have got to keep on self-medicating to overcome the guilt I feel about the pain I see in the eyes of the women I keep on hurting. It's not like I don't have a conscience. It's that I am literally trying to drown it with alcohol. I broke you, I broke our children, I broke my second wife and our child, and I'm still breaking everywhere I go. And all the women I sleep with, proper, they all be out just showing me that they're really broken by me. And seeing as I'm a much better dude than that, all the children love me. I don't want for the pain that I cause to be indeed felt with all of its like depth. So since I keep on dropping the ball, I'm self-medicating. So Wapuza to basically self-medicate until he became an alcoholic, rather than face the music, rather than repent, rather than do a better thing. Uchuze ugupuza proper with all that accent. Uchuze ugupuza. He decided to puza, and now he showed my mom that, listen, I'm a drunk now. That man drove at the Wejwalo. I don't know if that was there was a time in history where drinking and driving was not a crime. It was not illegal. I kid you not, like Papa, when I was still alive, I was alive and well when they outlawed drinking and driving because it was evidenced by the medical field that it does indeed impair driving. Yeah, so I think during that time, if he was to get stopped by the police, he was not going to go down for all of it. Like, Papa, there's literally there was a time not only where drinking and driving wasn't a crime, there was also a time where driving around without a seatbelt was not a crime. Like, yeah, there was a weird dystopian time in history where people could drive around heavily drunk without seatbelts, get in a car accident, and their drunkenness would not be a factor in a lawsuit. Thank God for advancements in people's wisdom. But also we have regressed, have we not, in other facets. So listen, whatever way it is that you do well, you unmake up for it. So boohoo, mamela, waiting. It's like almost 9 a.m. in the morning. I've been talking for like ever, and I can feel now that I am excruciatingly tired. So we need to basically start sealing this message. Wapuza, yonkela, chwala, and well, I mean, my mom kicked him out. By the end of that night, they were fighting, and I was sad. We were sad, my sibling and I. Really very sad, even though initially we were very happy because they appeared to be happy with each other. Children always want their parents to get back together. On that day, I discovered that my prayers that I prayed when I was still in Catholic school, not the real story. In spite of that, my dad left there alwana le my mom. Like they were just throwing toys out the cart. It got really like brawly. And so he left and got in his Cressida and of course took my photographs with me because he dared let me know in that drunken stupor ha tsamaya hore ke tlo gutlane ke lo frame dinepe tsa hao ne nana ke tlo gutlane ngwanaka. Okay, and I was like, okay. I still trusted him, I still believed in him, and listen, poof, vamoose, like a cloud, just going up and away. Well, my modeling photographs, listen, I literally came 5th place. That's quite an impressive feat in that pageant, and nobody will ever know that I was even part of it. Nobody, because my dad disappeared with my photographs, and I did not, for the life of him, ever bring them back. They're in the pipelines out there, maybe being ogled at by perverts in a shebeen. On some, who is this gorgeous, beautiful 13-year-old model? Because my dad then left them in a shebeen or whatever. At that stage, he was still a lawyer. Mara, he was losing his career. So comprehend that when I say I'm not repeating the mistakes of my mom, I'm not gonna fall head over heels in love with a dude that are just gonna show me the world. However, also show me Antarctica. I already live in my own little Antarctica. And seeing as I'm 41 years old, I would be the tenamount of my dad's second wife as opposed to my mom. So essentially, it's even a downgrade from my mom. I am not doing it. And I'm not going to bring forth offspring that I'm actually going to be ignoring because their dad gave me so much post-traumatic stress as a result of his indiscretions when, under heaven, I was married to him when I was heavily pregnant, that I will be unloving towards my daughter and be narcissistic. Therefore, in spite of all these men that are like my dad trying to marry me, this time as rather the second wife as opposed to the first, and so their first marriage just lasted almost a decade, whereas their second one is going to last like, what, 2 or 3 years? And there's going to be a son that's going to be born from there that at the age of 22 is going to get shot dead at a party because there's no father figure. That's what happened with my brother. Seeing as that's what's facing me. Seeing as that is what is out here threatening to crawl up my skirt like a bad man. Seeing as that is what is intimidating me as like a gnarly little pesky Shellington idiot go packing. Seeing as it's all up in my grill like that. I'm trying to help you understand, Uguti. I've had enough training and instruction and enough wisdom coming from on high Jesus to know and understand that there is no value in out here priding yourself and telling a woman, let my man alone, leave him be, because I'm in the house now. And also, there is no wisdom in marrying some woman's ex-husband who showed her flames, but now he's in your town trying to make himself look like he's a new thing, even though he was a vagabond, a vagrant, a wanderer about the earth like Cain, where he killed his brother Abel Maobane. Ke tlo tlola lenja e sentseng mo strateng mara o kgatsetse mo a dulang teng in a bed and breakfast, otherwise known as his new apartment. He is freezing. The very mink coat he done put on a chick in Antarctica, hanging out in his house. Mara mink ya coat. Yeah, Gucci. Sorry. Now it's on his body, and it's not even warming him. The nanny named Fran. Because during his week of custody. Because of the fact that asemosadi and a perfectly viable home, and a manje umfazi is carrying these kids because there were things that they were leaning on her for that are more girthy and weighty. Remember I said she is that chick with the scatter cushions and the mini spoons in the kitchen drawer. She creates a home for children even though there's no man. That's women. Whereas men need that supplement yabafazi. We are the nurturers, and so kids are more able to hang out in our company. Whereas with dads, it's like they're the fun ones, and largely, a lot of times, not even the strict ones. The dads are not only the fun ones, mara haba pedantic and like dijana le di-ing-ing. So basadi ba tletse ka o chika, so bana enjoy their dad's company because they tend to be a lot more easygoing. Mara there is a girth and a weight of child struggling that must be carried by umfazi. When the nose is all sniffly and heavy and congested, umfazi will notice these things. When a child is not sleeping, when there is a fever, when, like details. We notice the details that cause children to essentially be safe. So the combination of a father, a head in the house that is loving and the easygoing, like providing thick structure of a shelter next to a woman is the beautiful, well-rounded atmosphere for a child to grow up in. But when it's just a woman, she can raise sons and daughters by herself, but there will be issues over there. Because warmth, a nurturing spirit therein that is frankly sort of kind of enough, but not quite. It is sort of kind of enough, but not quite. And men, without that thing, yabafazi, struggle, kabana. They struggle. And so that's why they insist on marrying again, especially habanale bana, because they feeling that it's okay for them to impose during their week of custody on girlfriends that are about to become new wives the status of stepmom. That's why they feel like it's necessary for them to impose that, because Baba that nurturing spirit, but a stepmom is not a mom. And abantwana sometimes can heavily and richly disrespect a stepmom. And ifuthi, never mind disrespect now, in and of yourself, you are going to struggle to truly put forth your rod of discipline on children that are not your own, especially when you're just like a sycophant to your husband. You are going to struggle to discipline these children. So it's not going to be the same thing. Therefore, what I'm trying to get at is like, listen, one man, one woman, marry them and stay with them for life. We're comfortable. Just marry one woman and stay with her for life and stop cheating. But it's not happening now, is it? However, it is found readily and easily in those who wait on the Lord. And that's why I will not settle, I won't compromise. It runs much deeper than in WT. I've got high standards for a 41-year-old. It's that I understand the nuances and how they just don't be out to making any kind of sense when you mangling them like a contortionist artist or whatever. And for those reasons, I'm being murdered because I give out now longer a man and all of his 3 children. Because in a bed and breakfast, otherwise known as his new apartment, where there is a child toy that is still sitting on the floor of the bedroom before the domestic worker comes in. Because this dude, it does not dawn on him to, listen, go to that bedroom, pick it up and put it in the toy cart. Stuff like that is inside women, because women are the ones that will notice that why are there no carpets in the bathroom? They're pedantic about those details. Men aren't. You are going to want somebody of that nature, Mara. Haibane also underestimate the living daylights out of the siriti of Bosadi that is in the wife that you marry. You will realize that with regret once you are living by yourself in your cold apartment. And then you're going to want to fra all this gorgeosity. You're going to want to fra ukarabo. Little one who frustrate ukarabo. You are going to literally out here in these streets lambaste the living daylights out of Karabo because you are the nanny named Fran. And give me that laugh, ele boranya Francesca. And then you end up marrying your child's nanny, Fran. You divorced your wife, or rather your wife divorced you, wakatala, I guess sisters. And so the single woman with the status of being Francesca, the nanny named Fran. Young lady on the camera with the status of being Francesca. Papa, stop doing that. They will never have a fair chance at raising sons and daughters with husbands that are going to love them in their households because they waited on the Lord. Men who are going to be willing to love women, the way that Christ loved the church, who will be willing to go and grab poor chicks and put Gucci on their buttocks right next to, just like Joseph, also honor the Lord and loving them the way that Christ loved the church. Women that wait on the Lord for husbands, and so therefore they get the best of both worlds. Women need love. If at all you chase money but don't care about love, what you get is Edwin Sodi. However, if you allow yourself to downgrade to a man that's gonna love you, however, that you have more money than, once he starts to make more money than you, Uzokshi and for some chick that he's going to splurge on and again end up inevitably being in Edwin Sodi. He will cheat on you just because when now you're a beef, chunky, gargantuan, mammoth, like beastly dinosaur chick in my house. I wanted a feather for a wife. After all, I'm the man. So the same dude, my ex was like that. Once he starts to make money, flames. Flames. And when I say I give igloo in a giant house and echo that are bouncing off walls, they tell me my standards are too high. And when I say I give out monna that albeit being able get a little bit more love than the icicle creating Eskimo guy. Yeah. Hana next so don't get it on cause naked rights and doing details. I don't be so going to batang de fella at least in poverty. Mamela naked right to a certain lifestyle. Ukokowa might have been able to live in a house in a debate for tiling, but my mother never was that thing. So since I came from the womb of my mom and not so much my grandmother, I'm not gonna be with a downgraded random little boy. Do you understand? that cannot put me in an apartment in sense, that cannot place me in a house that makes sense for a woman on a 42, 41 to live in. I can't feel like anything. I'm not gonna marry a man like my uncle because I've already lived in the lifestyle as the daughter of a man like my dad. And so therefore I can only ever marry a man with the social economic status of my dad in his come up. However, with the righteousness of God, the combination of who my dad was when he took my mom out of poverty, but with piety, essentially Joseph. I'm Asenath, a Joseph, a man that would have been set apart, bespoke to love a woman like me. That's not going to undermine me because I come from poverty. Because I don't really actually come from poverty. It's just that my family members ba weird. Abantu ba weird. Ba weird kabuhlungu kabi and ngihlukumezwa ngabantu badi impandlane le meno a shotang. Mara bana no rena tshwantse ke banke. You are wealthy like my dad was wealthy on the come up. Mara inhlonipho. For what, for who, for where, for ning, for eng, for vanier. Ehle. Akuna inhlonipho da. Akunathando for ugel. Indoda izongi manzisa nje ngama diamonds. Bese angishiya ngibanda vela ejardini with all that ice. Ongisiya ke khatsetse ke sna lerato ke kwatile, ke tlhoile young women. Ke sna taba even though ke phoshonkilwe ka expensive designer non-drugstore makeup, ke apere nje fela jazi engwe ya go dura coming down to my toes. Mara gona lerato. What's the point of walking around ka trolley etletseng ka di groceries tsa go Woolworths? Because that's where I buy my groceries. No, I don't do pick and pay. I will literally insist on ukuthenga ama Oreos from Woolies just because I like them more expensive. I'll shop at grocery cart ya gago kaofela o lo etlatsa ka dijo tsa go Woolworths, even though really and truly ke tšhelete e wasted. Go and buy your groceries at Checkers Hyper. Best your tenga desserts at Woolies. That's how you do Woolies. It's too expensive to be out of buying a whole cart of groceries from there. That's what Woolies is there for. Yeah, Haibane Monna is going to have so much money that all my groceries are bought from Woolworths. Mamela ne osilia buti mara wa ba ta go jarateng a ke fitla ra ka di Oreo tsa teng because ke batla ho etsa a very beautiful Oreo cake, and then my husband Archer treats me like one that I must buy ka di mandrakes. I'm gonna be giving birth to a child that might be a child of promise, but nonetheless I had to buy him his conception, seeing as I only sleep with my husband once every 3 months because he's always out there ka di nyansi. My child is going to be brought forth with freaking mandrakes. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to buy my husband's affection with mandrakes. I don't want to be Leah. I want to be a combination of Asenath and Rachel, just a beloved wife. I don't want to have to be a woman that a man just passes so much shade that sihlala silwa, and one day he acts better and so they're dancing in a lounge, but then he drinks like a skunk and leaves like my mother angry, and then takes my photographs and doesn't bring them back, and so there's no memory that I ever came number 5 in a pageant once. Nothing is there. Now I'm just sounding all like a liar and whatever. Listen, I came number 5. I could have been number 4. I was in the top 5. Anyway, you get my point, y'all, right? I could have totally won a pageant or whatever. Not won, but I could have totally just shown people that, listen, I almost became a beauty queen, but then my dad stole my photos. I'm not going to be that thing. I am not, for the life of me, going to allow myself to be the bride of a man like Edwin Sodi. A man that prides himself in splurging on women that don't have that much. This dude literally spread all of his dalliances with that shit all over these streets. Anyone that would hear, listen, he would tell them that I hit that man's wife. I hit that. And then you're spreading rumors about your own dalliances. Whatever, dude, you ought to be splurging on even Naye. Naye, she's also dripping ice. Naye, ngama diamonds. So, the mistress that you slept with that belonged to another man. All that women can do is just be really mad, really angry, and then like bash each other's heads against one another when these dudes wreak all this kind of havoc. Edwin Sodi ozongi spoilayo, but there's also gonna pride himself in spoiling university students, and I'm not going to marry a poor dude that cannot put ice on my neck either, because my dad was that guy for my mom. I know where I come from, but there is no getting a combination, essentially the best of both worlds. There's no getting your bread buttered on both sides and having your cake and eating it too. There's no getting any of that without Jesus, because it's an impossible thing to get in this world, because it is easier for a camel to enter the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. So rich men just struggle to be righteous, therefore it's Edwin Sodi. However, these poverty-stricken dudes, hey, listen, women, you can't let yourself, if at all in and of yourself you're not poor, you can't let yourself be with a guy that doesn't have much, because you'll build him, you'll make him, because then you're gonna end up the way that I was sutlechat with my ex-boyfriend. But in his house, he just felt like he wasn't man enough, and as soon as he made money, he acted like a fool, arrogant, and then he ended up marrying the chick that didn't even want him when he didn't have money, because now he could actually splurge on her. There is no getting the best of both worlds except for crying out to the Lord. Not everybody is going to win a poker match and just sitting around gathering dust like Asenath. Not everybody is going to happen or be happened upon by Joseph getting elevated to the Prime Minister of Egypt and then becoming your husband. Not every woman is going to one day be blessed haughtily and violently by a righteous man that's also wealthy. If at all you are a wealthy woman, you must marry a wealthy man, but you're not going to be okay if that man is not godly. And that's what under heaven is pursuing me. Combination of you're poor, I'll love you, but the dude is going to make out of me my mom, bitter broad. And then there's also the poor ones that think that it's okay for me to be chilling in the housing and on my tiles. There are then the poverty-stricken ones that want to introduce me to a downgraded lifestyle and also cause me to go and scan groceries at the Pick and Pay. So since I'm busy scanning groceries at EOK Bazaar, singers nami scan at a bazaar. Yeah, my uncle for a husband. I can't marry my uncle because my mother married my dad. That's the very thing. She might have come from the same household as my uncle, but my mom was the woman that actually got given a better life by my dad. And so seeing as I'm that progeny, I am that offspring, I therefore now essentially officially qualify under the umbrella of the wealth of my dad and have relinquished and so therefore no longer qualify to be subterfuged by the stealth of my grandfather. I don't have to marry a guy that has to collect matlapa to build houses in the Gasi, just making ends meet, but everybody's living hand to mouth. I don't have to marry a welder because my grandmother married a welder. Why? Because my father was an attorney. No, an advocate. I don't have to marry a dude that does not have an education because my dad was an advocate and a lecturer at universities at some point. He was a man of prestige, however, one that drowned himself. So I don't have to be with a dude that cannot hold a conversation with me. And I also don't have to marry a dude that is not wealthy because my dad was supposed to be wealthy. I am of the pedigree of my dad, not my grandfather, not even my uncle. So I'm but that's making just enough. And I'm also not going to be wed off to a man that is like my dad and just like my dad. That's it. Just my dad. I'll love you. I'll marry you. I'll take you to school. I'll show you this world. I'll take you to trips. I'll give you mink coats. But listen, I'm also going to make you live in an icy cold house. I am waiting on God for the version of my father that's godly. He doesn't exist apparently. Indeed, he doesn't. In this carnal pagan world when you've got all these generational curses pursuing you. I am an industrious woman and I am trying to make my own ends meet just like my grandmother, even though she was married to a man that was completely taking care of her. She nonetheless, sewed hats and whatnot. So I'm creative, I'm doing this, but understand whatever money I could ever make will always pale in comparison to what my husband will provide. Even if I were to have a massive YouTube channel, even if I were to be somehow one day able to make a whole chunk of my own money, my husband must always necessarily and will indeed, for that's what God has given me, have a lot more. That's what I was made for. These things dwell in my family bloodline. However, there is a curse over there that doesn't want to lift, and I'm praying against it. I am fighting that which thwarted since we were so industrious. But it ends with me. I'm the last one. This here phenomenon of crazy, if I like but tobacco were industrious enough to have big chunky businesses. But somewhere along the way, but and they weren't able to proceed. Plus, I come from a family that is essentially supposed to be a massive empire of many little different businesses, but no one ever broke past a certain barrier. Even those that are executive among them still live in little 3-bedroom apartments in the Gasi over here, in like a regular sectional title. Mansion go except for this one family, mara it's not really Batwako. It's another family that married one of the daughters in my family, mara just in terms of my own family. Even though we've got the skills of buhumi, we've got money making potential. Noma sifundile, noma sifundisa at universities, noma siye all over the world, noma sifunde at Harvard. Papa, we end up in Jekpela just like losing our houses. We move out of houses that we would have built big fat chunky extensions on. You know how in Winchester would have been so big, a double story, just a beautiful house, and my mom would have been able to put in a swimming pool. It never got there. Asfiganga La Paya, to have such a beautiful large house in that neighborhood with that big fat chunky, it was huge. It was massive. There could have been built on there even servants' quarters, the way it was so big. She lost it. And when I first came to the Lord, I was like, because me, I'm a thing about, I'm that girl. All up in tongues all day long, on my knees, like seeking the Lord's face. When he's chilling in the bloodline, that he who steals, kills, and destroys, he's going to give you so much grief when you're trying to fight against the generational curses of your family members. I'm cut above the rest. I will fight for as long as it takes. Nina 41, Ningizamu 42, then 50. I will fight all the way to the end, because if I can give even just one child born of my womb, even though I wanted 7, a shot at having all the riches that my whole family, both from my dad's side and my mom's side, ever could amass, I will work for just that one child. Because Ngwanatengi is a bit of a Judah. Ngwanatengi ke Perez. Ngwanatengi ke Jabez. Give the child of promise that is born called pain. But they are among the most, the Jabez was the most honorable among his brothers. I will make sure that the seed brought forth from my stomach is brought forth from the belly of Jabez. The forgotten servant, the forgotten child that nonetheless was remembered by God. I am the forgotten child that will be remembered by God, and I will bring forth precious seed, even if it comes forth as just one pregnancy. All that it takes to build a nation is one pregnancy. Even if it's just one pregnancy, even though I wanted multiple children, that one child will be a pioneer and a, what do they call this thing, thought leader and a paradigm shifter, enough to make a massive enough dent on the earth. For even though I only gave birth to one child, it was one child enough. You know of that one child that was born to a barren mom and a dad that had given up that he'll never ever have children, and yet he becomes the restorer of Israel. You know about Samson, right? Born to a barren woman in her old age, and God came to her one day in a dream. Even if I have the one child that, like Samson, he died young, nonetheless he made such a big dent that it was worth it to bring forth that child. Even if that one child ultimately ends up getting his head taken because he's that pious, it is the one child that made a massive difference, because after all, was he not a messenger in the wilderness, out just speaking about the coming of the Lord? His name is John the Baptist, and he was born yet again to a barren woman. So yes, I'm 41 and there is no husband in sight. By the time I have children, I might not even be able to have many. The Lord showed me my first pregnancy is going to be twins. But even if those twins don't come, it doesn't matter. Even if I have one pregnancy, all that was needed to bring forth the guy that would be a messenger in the wilderness about the coming of the Lord was one pregnancy in an old age. All it took was John the Baptist. All it took was Jesus. All it took was Judah. All it took was Jabez. All it took was Joseph. All it took was for the one kid that appeared not to be coming, but then came. All it took was one pregnancy. And I will wait for this child to inherit much more than what under heaven my family members try to subjugate me to the tyranny of. I will not be my father's daughter, neither my mother's daughter. I will be God's child, and so therefore inherit everything that my grandmother could have been, everything that my grandfather could have been, everything that my dad could have been, and everything that my mom could have been. A beautiful, gorgeous older woman doted over by a loving, precious husband that is just going to absolutely understand that this here ke mo jarateng angiyindawo kumnandi kube endlini nomfazi owarm, because abantwana nabo in that space bawarm, kuwarm nje kumnandi. Uhlale esofeni kunomfazi ophekayo in the kitchen, kumnandi. Uhlale esofeni egcwele ngamaskara cushions, angazi ukuthi aphuma kuphi. All I know is that they're comfortable. Kumnandi to go and put my glass on a coaster on a coffee table, because my wife recommended that we get a coffee table, because what am I doing without a coffee table? Kumnandi ukuyolethelwa ukudla in a tray. Kumnandi ukuyo sprinkler salt on my food coming out of a shaker, as opposed to cerebos and defela container eling empty, eling sonoro. Kumnandi ukungena endlini, that even though you don't even know where this wall painting came from, mara eda homonatu fitla ko jarateng and find proper how can I conclude hore ba change di garetene. Yesterday they were mauve, today it's giving olive green. I like what you've done with the place. Kumnandi kufike jardini. And what is that smell, babe? Oh no, I got these diffusers from this one store. Do you like the smell? It's vanilla. Kumnandi. A woman, get that thing, get that extra. Ukena mo jarateng, and she's changed up your bed linen, and the bed linen yona mesamelo. Somehow it works out color scheme. You didn't change that bed linen, neither did you leave the domestic worker. We change up when we change lane because it's already new ones, and this dude walks up and just aplomeda, and it's like ipampara, like a jumping castle that's got many balls in it. It's just kumnandi lapaya humanati to live in a house with a wife that is that responsible. I understand stuff like that, but I also understand and just feel like the travesty of putting a woman like that that's gonna make a house very warm in the house of a guy that's gonna make her very cold. Oh, because you're out there busy ka megwanti, busy ka di prostitutes, busy ka di satanic rituals, busy ka di side piece, busy ka. Besides okhathala lo muntu that you're gonna give STDs, mara she's the one that has put wall pictures on your wall. How can you realize it has been filled? Noma wena uthenge nje isofa ubeke ama wall paintings. We look at Builder's Warehouse, walked up and down and just fell that aisle. Something when you come back home, you're like, oh, that's nice, I like it. And that's it. That has been made warm by a woman that has gone out of her way to make it really super califragilisticexpialidocious cushy. Mara nna ke tlo ipha bokushi ba ka. Bukushi ba nkgono wa ka. Bukushi ba go etsa the canned peach from scratch. You know how I said that I like to make things from scratch? I even went on YouTube to teach myself tutorials as to how to make chocolate from scratch. I'm not gonna make chocolate from scratch out here grinding cocoa beans only for a dude to make me purchase his affection with those cocoa beans, otherwise known as mandrakes, the one day a month when he's prepared to stay home and treat me better as a wife. Mara yo, next week he's at it again. Busy via lo muntu. Uyangikhathaza ake batle nna go lontsha madi a monna mo ga mmele wa gage having a pool of blood around Friday because I'm too sensitive to marry a guy that don't make no kind of sense, especially considering just like my mom and like my grandmother, I'm full of investment in any ecosystem I'm in. That would ever blow in my bosom and not I'll just sleep 8 hours long yonke, just like my situation the way that the Lord has given me so much rest and so much peace, even in my sorrow. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, 8 hours That's the kind of rest that I have in my God. When the Lord then has given me that kind of peace, and that's the tranquility of a woman with a peaceable and a quiet spirit, there is no man that's full of tumult and clamor that's gonna come and rest in my bosom and rest on my chest with his drool on my chest, on my blouse, and offer all the rest I gave him to a side piece, a mistress. Instead of coming home to me, not realizing that a man is to leave his mother and his father, cleave to his wife, and the two become one flesh. There is no man that's going to drool on my chest from sleeping really comfortably on me. Rest in the peace of the Lord that I am. Unless I am the baby mom myself. There's no such thing. Listen, I'm not gonna settle. I understand the curses that are befalling me. I understand and so because I already know money. So listen, I can't be with a guy that doesn't know money. And for as long as I've already been taught money, there's no going back from that as a woman. And happy. It's what I'm getting at. And so because I gave my life to the Lord and I prayed, it doesn't matter that I'm 41 because all I need is one pregnancy to bring forth a John the Baptist. All I need is one pregnancy to bring forth twins, one of whom is Perez, bloodline of Jesus. All I need is one pregnancy. Listen, that's all I need. And with that, I will be content. Because listen, his ways are not mine and his thoughts ain't mine. Whatever he was planning for my life was not what it is that I wanted, but whatever it is that he has for me, neither eye has seen, nor mind conceived, nor ear heard the things which God has prepared for those who wait on him. I can't conceive what it is, but all I know is that what I wanted, I didn't get it. But what I will get is what I needed and indeed will discover I actually wanted. I get with a man that is really very havoc, like wreaking, just tumultuous, and I'm not going to be the second wife of some idiot. Oh, rekileng havoc ko mosadi o mongwe before. Oh, khathariseng mosadi o mongwe before. Bese azofuna ukuyobloma la him. Azo khetha indende zakhe on iblouse yami katulala on me. And after getting all that rest on my bosom, go out there and wreak havoc in my life by cheating. And ngizobloma nendoda that cannot appreciate a home that a woman builds. Men that squander their family homes with mistresses, taking for granted the value of a wife in the house. They always regret it. So I'm also not going to be a narcissistic mother that is so jealous of her own child. That I feel uncomfortable 11 years. When I was you're regal, you're queenly. When you walk out there, everybody loves you. And yet your daughter is struggling. She's coughing blood. She's gurgling it. You are regal, you are queenly. When you walk, you are poised. You have a strut in your step, and your daughter is groveling. But she is your name's sake, isn't she? She looks just like you. You're the same thing. You even have the same mood. That's why you that gorgeous chick South Africa Mara also flames. But I'm that gorgeous chick because God took me into the house of a man that's not only gonna say this at last is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, but also listen, I'm here and I like what you did with the blinds. A man that's gonna appreciate my experiments in the kitchen with chocolate from the scratch. A man that's gonna appreciate my puff pastry from scratch. I won't buy it from Woolies. A man that's gonna appreciate my cinnamon rolls that I am experimenting with, and if they're burned, we'll try again tomorrow. A man that is going to appreciate Dabayaore. A woman makes a house very warm. Excited to come back home because a man that's not going to be troubled and tumulted in spirit when he is like just standing there. I do some TV just shuffling through channels. He's not going to be with tumult in his spirit. I've had enough. I've endured that. I, at some point, lived with my ex-boyfriend, lower 5 years, cohabiting. Flames. We weren't even married. How you gonna be so stable with me, Jola? Since now that we live together, boy, I'm not even married to you. You've already shown me you can't be a proper husband. He insisted on us getting back together. I'm grateful we broke up because he would have been just like my dad. Unstable, unwilling to blow me and also choosing his boys over me. Mara today, I'd like to call you sometime. Oh, I would like. Buddy, you made your choice. You literally made, you made your bed, lie in it. You made your bed, lie in it. So, in returning back then, listen, I've been speaking for like ever in a day, and now there is overheating of my devices. I have switched off a fan behind you, and this fan, the intention of it is to cool down my device so that it does not overheat, but it does also come with noise, so I'm not really sure if it is going to be like or what, but let me just have like talk right now while this fan is cooling my phone from the back. It's already 9:28 in the morning, so because of the time that it is, this place is starting to get kind of scorching, and so for those reasons, what do you call this thing, it's starting to get really hot. There is an interruption of my device. Overheater. I need to try and get this conversation out. Mara fan in Aliona, it mustn't disappoint me. It must just do what a fan does behind a phone. Like, do what a fan does. I mean, I bet you can hear the fan, but can you also hear like I don't know. Mamela, I'm trying to get a point across. Today I spoke for many hours. I had to cure myself from the depression I was feeling earlier because of just the demonic attack. Like, people reacting to me with a great deal of spite. And I'm like, Jesu before atsalwa, Moshe before atsalwa. The future kings of Israel before before they could even bring forth children. So whoever it is that is my children, whoever it is that are my children, in advance, because whoopsie, I'm so concerned, and now I'm pretty sure you are listening to whoopsie, a fan. Hey man, must I finish recording the rest of this message? Come on, just so I can have a cool... Oh, there we go. Phone is charging again. And I'm not sure if it's the air that I out here breathed in its grill with my phone, or if at all it's charging again because of the fan that is at the back of my phone. I'm also uncertain as to whether or not there's going to be like wind. I'm not really sure which of these two cooled down the phone, but I must just keep checking the temperature to make sure that it keeps on reducing. Nonetheless, I have to be on my way out finishing this message. I hope it's the one at the back. You can hear the fan, but I'm pretty sure there's no I'm hopeful. All I can be right now is hopeful. Okay, I just listened to that clip, or at least a portion of it, and I realized that the fan that is going at the back here actually does help. It makes a difference. My phone is charging again, it's not overheating anymore, so there we go. We've got a fan. Anyway, and you can hear me, even though you will likely hear me with like the sound of the fan, but it's okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna marry just anything. You're not fan in that's going at the back there. And last week I wasn't able to sleep because of the fact that my big fat chunky fan that I just showed you, Ele is silver, in the beginning of this conversation, because I couldn't sleep, therefore my mom, how why electricity on and off type establishment thing. There hasn't been a power cut this whole time. I don't know why my computer's still off, but I'll keep it off. I'll keep it off because there's nothing exporting right now or whatever on there, because all the work is pretty much done. Well, the last batch I was talking about, now I've got the batch that's in here that's also done, and I just need to create captions now on my computer. But anyway, yeah. I asked Gondlung, and I'm like, why is there no mtlakasi? What's going on? And then she says, I told you, superstitious people, God will out your plague you with your vats leaking. She then is like, hey, not microwave, but yeah, microwave. Hi, yeah, it's not oscillating. And then she's also like, hey, not only the microwave is not oscillating, but the washing machine switched off the power and then switched it back on again. So washing machine appears to be back alive again. And I remember at that stage, that was before she wreaked havoc in my life and broke my heart. I remember just thinking, why the microwave why in Jeffela, even though they're new, off the shelf, fresh off the showroom floor. Why under heaven do they just keep like falling apart? And remember I told you that the first microwave that went and did a stunt, we registered to the carpenter guy. One more thing. We registered the carpenter, and because the carpenter guy was like, I'll take it, I'll give you a fee for this microwave, right? It's gone, and she didn't think that the LG microwave would also be needing any kind of like tweaking and panel beating, right? Yeah, that's what's giving. And then the LG microwave doesn't oscillate. The thing, yeah, thingy, right? It doesn't oscillate. And it also, the LG microwave, over and above not oscillating, doesn't make a noise. How do it doesn't make that I'm just sounding like a revving car. It doesn't make that revving vehicle type noise. And so because high gets a noise, clearly there's a fault with the microwave. And I remember just thinking, hey, banna mo strateng hobaneng ho na le mathata a makana a kotsi a hemang ka phela ha botlhoko ha kana ang gang diphinya hobaneng ho le jana mo strateng ka di microwave why go sna piece of continuity mo jarateng. So first go tshwatlega di solar panels so you can understand where the Lord goes before. First ha di tshwatlege mara they pass shade, right? First, there is the passing of shade of solar panels, and the Lord already told me by the Holy Spirit that solar panels, and then those solar panels caused the electricity to glitch and twitch, and that electricity overdrive caused Fanyaka that's been around for a minute to go blah, 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 looking like that scene in the movie Total Recall. And then I go in the house, and I discover that whatever was going on with the solar panels that God had told me about earlier that day in the kitchen had not only messed up with my fan that suddenly died one night, but it also wouldn't turn on now all of a sudden, whereas the night before it was just going and going. Not only were the solar panels at risk, not solar panels, but not only was my fan over here giving grief, but I went in the house and the microwave was going awry. The washing machine was going awry. And lo and behold, my mom's fan in the bedroom, that she also needs to actually be, giving herself some air. No air, no air. Ooh. Yeah. Then her little whirring device. Aja doing a whirring thing. Now I say and then she's postmenopausal, so most of that she get harder than me. And if she were to live in this particular mukuku, she would just pass away altogether. But in the house, she must sleep all the night long. Just going and going and going. All the night long, fan. Alright, yeah, that's what's giving. Naya AIK ifenya valeati ba bo ba ba boom ba boom ba ba. Naya AIK ya boda. It also coded get up la mouthful. Hers too. So Fenya went there. Fenya go went there. Fenya what you might call this thinking microwave oscillation don't work, who ain't coming out. And then washing machine for a season was like papa, but then came back again. In one night, shortly after Njangana, that's much too old for me. What a disease. Decided Uguti, I'm gonna sow discord between you and your family sisters. Njaki yo is so we let discord between me and my family because he's offended that yeah. Offended, Abuti, and frankly I am making that a clear point and hectic. Seeing as by 29,000. Yeah. Wati, awusazotenga anything again in your life. Osi, ever again. I was like, oh, abuti threats, except I thoroughly did feel like it was a true threat. Shakes. Same day later on, the Lord then tells me solar panels. And those solar panels, whatever was going on over there, be it maintenance, I've since then turned them on. Again, is the power gonna go off again and on? I don't know. Maybe God fixed them, but long story short, he certainly did destroy them. He hurt them. He did something to make them create a surge of power that would then end the lives of devices that we could afford to lose. What happened with the solar panels that God told me about? He said solar panels. Whatever thing happened over there messed with my fan, her fan, microwave and washing machine. Microwave and washing machine are new, like as in bought day before yesterday. My fan and hers, they've done their time. My computer was preserved. One of the fans that I have all up in these grow was preserved because it was switched off during the time when the panels were doing a thing. And the fan in that was preserved, the one right behind that's cooling my phone that you can hear right now whirring and going. It was preserved while it is the exact same age as fan ya mewaka. And it was the fan that I was using to cool my cat, because my cat needs cooling. It was used to cool my cat because I put it in front of my cat to give my cat air, and I had that big one to give me air. Everybody needs air here. I love my cat. Well, I took my cat's fan because, I mean, really, cat, like proper, I'm a human being. I was made in the image of God. I'm more precious than you, according to the Bible. You're a sparrow, so I'm taking your fan. I took my cat's fan away, right? Because proper, I ain't got no fan no more. But then I went into the house and I was like, oh my, what's going on? But you see, my mother, she's not entirely aloof towards me. Weird. So because she is aware in this joint, she would never ever let me go without fan. So even in the center of all of this witchcraft is so division so that my mom doesn't care about what's going on with me. I got some situation, environment, atmosphere, an atmosphere, tell me how should I breathe with no air? No air. Never what's in that fan just going? Do you understand? Just like in and I get sure if you can even hear me. I got some dealing got air. So I was out here hunting around, looking all over the streets for another fan alternative because I wanted to sleep. My cat. Plus, Meho very cold that day. It was raining, so it was kind of drizzly. Like the atmosphere was coolish. So because it was cool, I could afford to be without a fan for that particular day. Nonetheless, I had that one, but I didn't let her know that I had the other one that cools my cat. I just was looking for another fan because I still wanted my cat to have a fan to cool her because proper, she's also got fur on her body. It's all not fair over there. Just let my cat out to hang out with no air. My cat needs air too. So I wanted another fan for myself because my cat needs air. Okay. The fans they stopped working. Listen, even my mobile fan the same day, I don't know what's going on with the solar panels, and it would not turn on. My charger, there was a surge on it and it stopped working, but now it's working again. Mamelang, but one of those things, it brings out very cool air all up in my grill. And it's like a USB cable. It's a light. Portable fan I was very disquieted about all these situations out here wreaking havoc in these uneasy, uncomfortable streets until the Lord reminded me that if at all you don't love his people, he will send a lion attack in the street so that you superstitious folk will finally inquire of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because he is the territorial God over that region. And if at all you don't appease him, you're gonna get mauled away at by lions. Listen, I am not sure if that lion finally stopped eating away at the Samaritans, but what's important is that superstition ultimately causes people to see that God is responsible for something and so change their behavior. Even if they are still ungodly, even if they are pagan to the core, even if Abenandaba no somandla, they will thoroughly just restore my life. This is uncomfortable. They will ultimately give God's disciples what they need. So we understand that my staff chilling there at Temu, at Fastway Couriers is not coming. It'll eventually come. And I will report that message when finally it does happen. I will share that I was ultimately given what I need in order to take my stuff out of storage. And not only that, because right now it's like storage. Not only that, this guy that said to himself that I will never buy again, this guy that said that I will never buy again, that made my mother dream. And I know that that offends you. I will keep saying it over and over again until you burst your head, because I go die. You that is getting massacred by Cell Block Tango or Border. And before then, you will tell yourself, I will continue to walk around like a snail. And you will also tell yourself that my family will abandon me and leave me out on a limb and let me pass away. For as long as you are of that imagination, you will still continue to be that ugly old geriatric guy. I will keep dissing you. Right next to because snacks. I will also put it out there that yes, my mother might hearken to your witchcraft, because whatever demon you put in the house that made it smell like fart and poop will ultimately be eradicated by a woman that, even though she is not responding to the love of God, she is responding to his wrath. That I need. She will give me exactly what I need. Because when lions keep on mauling away at your inhabitants, even as an Assyrian king, You will inquire of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to still all that calamity on your land. My mother is just as superstitious as ancient civilizations. So because she will notice that her fan is chwatlechile, microwave went all awry. My fan chwatlechile. My washing machine went awry. Gwa vuza, vuzi vuzi, and then on top of that, a gone jwanong ngokopa di favor, a tshwa kukile di tafole tse imelang, a gone hore karabo nthuse ka tafole e imelang, because I mean o tlo etsang o ntse reka tafole ya 2,500 ya 4,000 o sna taba ka taba I can't take my stuff out of Temu. Okay, yini ekhoze uma wami lalela when she bought groceries this month. This kampona nkele slender jana. I drank mayonnaise nkare ke juice. Ke nwa mayonnaise nkare ke oros. Nkare ke metsi, and I'm very thirsty, parched in the desert. So because ke nwa mayonnaise nkare ke oros, my mom, given that what's about ke thatela mayonnaise and I don't know na one girl proper, I was like tlhokomedi figure we tlhokomedi. The biggest tub that you can find go macro ya mayonnaise ele ekana o rekiwa yona ene e fela ena man, and if it's like I'm the only person who jang mayonnaise mo jarateng. I get to work isa none mo, I get to work mara ma aka lantse a ankare a fela out do di ring every so often diba tight ke sa none mo. Maybe it's because I'm always fasting. Mara not only do I eat mayonnaise tap ka fela e feletse, I also eat acha ne. Mara acha thing, I'm not as big a fan of acha as I am of mayonnaise. All my food gotta have mayonnaise proper. I can't taste nothing if it ain't got no mayo in it.